Even if you aren't familiar with the term wage theft, you may have been a victim of it. If you've ever worked hours that you should have gotten paid for and never got that money, you can file a complaint with Washington State. And some law students here in Seattle are helping workers do just that. Inside the Workers' Rights Clinic near 12th and Columbia,
here's the file I wanted you to look at.
Seattle University and UW Law students take calls from clients across the state.
Clinic is it's a law school course, right? And so these are upper level students who, some of whom are planning to practice employment law, and some of whom have interests in knowing more. They have backgrounds that draw them to the course. And so the students in the clinic meet pretty much weekly with low-wage workers. And those workers have reached out because something's happening at work. And so the students talk with the worker and kind of identify what the worker's goals are. And then they identify any legal issues, rights that the workers may have. They go off and do research about that. And then they call the worker back and talk through what the worker's rights are. Sometimes, if we think it can be valuable, we stay involved. We represent the worker in making a claim, maybe writing a demand letter, and sometimes that's just enough to give the client some information about what their rights are.
Most of their cases involve allegations of wage theft.
Any variety of not getting paid at all, not getting paid minimum wage, overtime. We are, as you've already heard, seeing a lot of paid sick leave violations this year, especially retaliation. We have workers come to the clinic. They generally don't have only one issue. And so one of the things that we talk about a lot in the clinic is making sure you've asked all the right questions.
That includes not getting the paid sick time they're legally owed. This year, they say, those complaints are up.
Can I add a couple things in there, Imelda?
We join Nathaniel Putnam as he logged on with a client who claims she was denied earned sick time as her mental health suffered following the death of her father.
I felt like what happened wasn't fair, and I had a feeling that it wasn't fair because usually I just let things pass, but this just wasn't feeling right with me. So I just started looking up some lawyers, and I've found a few, but they weren't really doing this kind of cases particularly. And so I just kept looking until I found the clinic, and I just put my information for a consult, and then they reached out to me.
Working with professors at the clinic, Putnam helped form legal recommendations and walked her through filing a claim. The investigation is ongoing.
It's just been so great to see her be able to say, no, I deserved this. And I was denied that. And now I can still get what I deserve, what I earned.
Putnam's passion for the clinic came from his own work and life experiences.
I grew up in a working household with a single working mother who sacrificed so much so that I could get an education. And I come from a family where we had been working in factories and in farms for generations. And seeing the toll that it takes on people and hearing the stories of what people had been through really gave me a sense that the harm that can happen at work doesn't have to happen.
Other students in the course, like Victoria Krager, also bring their backgrounds to the table.
I grew up in a union household. My father was a letter carrier with the USPS, and so I'd always been taught that unions were a good thing, even though they are few and far between nowadays. But then after I graduated undergrad, I actually worked in retail, which, as we know, is a typically a low-paying, low-wage job. And then when I came to law school, at first I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but having that background and knowing how workers' rights are so important to me, I was able to find a place here at the Workers' Rights Clinic.
Dexter Bradford and Rachel Sugar are working with a client they say was working in healthcare when he was denied owed sick time and retaliated against.
If you feel like you've been wronged, talk to somebody, reach out, see what your rights are exactly, because you might have a much, bigger case on your hands than you were assuming.
Just ensuring that workers are aware that they have rights, that they have the power to use those rights. I think that often there's such a power imbalance between employees and employers, and because we depend on our employers to pay the bills, to keep food in our fridges, it can feel so scary to challenge your employer. And I think what we're all here to do is help bolster people's ability to do that and make sure that they have the protection and backup of the law behind them to make sure that they're doing that and are successful in that.
There are several ways Washington workers can try to get the wages they're owed. Anyone in the state can file a complaint on the Labor and Industries website. The city of Seattle also has its own protections. The Office of Labor Standards takes complaints and conducts investigations. Or you can contact a clinic like this one to get free guidance.
You do deserve to be paid. Reach out, there's legal help out there that's willing to help you.
Along with helping each client, the clinic hopes their work will help affect lasting change with employers and educate the community on workers' rights.